So the Pioneers rally from a 14-point first-half deficit. They win 74-73. And here's the line. Tell me which line you see. You can't look. You shoot 47% for the game, 53% from three, and 81% from the free throw line. You should win the game, right?
A game like this, that's unbelievable.
All right, man. The Pioneers watched young Harris do those numbers. 33% for the Pioneers, 21% from three, 75% from the free throw line. But the big stat, I think, is always key for you guys, and that's rebounding. 28 offensive rebounds. You know, you may not have had a bunch of second chance points, but you had plenty of opportunities, which really limited them. You forced them into 28 turnovers. So those are kind of the numbers that kind of equalized what they did. JT Burton joining us. First half, 10 three-pointers. And I know that you've seen that, a lot. But what do you do as a coach when something like that's happened in the first half?
You just got to tell them stay the course because, believe it or not, we practice it, and guys get against the zone, they get hot. They've seen it in practice. Yep. And that's what helps us when they've seen that situation, and the guys keep believing. And, that's a testament to the players because those guys, man, they just kept believing. Yep. And, you take Dylan Smith, as I said, he was 1 for 12, 0 for 11 until he made that big three. And I got to say I got the best assistants in the country, man, because they was behind me encouraging these guys when they was on the bench, and especially these younger guys because you got a lot of freshmen not getting to play.
Yeah.
And, what a game, man. Whew.
Yeah, it really was. And I saw that enough last year that I didn't go into panic mode because I felt like, well, I've seen this. I've seen guys hit our zone and just hit for three, and then things changed. What was the difference in the second? Was it just a matter of effort in the second half?
Well, we contested the shots. They just made contested shots. And the biggest thing is I believe you just got to keep going. You got to keep believing it. We changed up a little bit, got them out of the rhythm, and then we one thing we kept doing is contesting the shots and rebound, limit their second chance shots. And we found shooters, and they just didn't make them. Yeah. And that's the thing. We tell our guys, look, it don't matter. The first half, you got to keep doing the same thing, but the second half is where you win the ball game. Yeah. And you continue to do that, you'll be okay.
And I agree with that because we missed a lot of open shots, things that I know guys aren't going to miss typically. But Trenton Gibson and Brandon Mitchell, those two really kind of willed this team through. We still missed some things inside with those two, but those two were special tonight.
That was very good. One time the score, I remember a play we penetrated. We picked up full court. The point guard went and trying to shoot a floater. Brandon shot, blocked it. We come back down, got a 1-on-1. That kind of time changed a little bit because we got over that hump by making free throws. And Trent Gibson, man, what about that kid?
Yeah.
You're talking about a kid from Murfreesboro that, not wasn't highly recruited,
yeah.
and he stays the course. And he done a really good job of changing his body. Yeah. As well, and that's why he was able to play 39 minutes. And then Brandon Mitchell, this kid just did a 360, man.
Yeah.
I've done a very good job of adjusting to him.
Yeah.
And because his demeanor is not like mine, I'm fiery. He just real laid back, and he showed tonight. And he did a really good job, especially rebounding the ball.
I think early, he got the message from you very early in this contest. He did, a little lazy instead of finishing. He tried to pass it off, and it ended up being a turnover. And we needed that right there at that first half. And so I really think that he adjusted his game, no question. Dylan Smith, before we talk about the shot, I think for him, 1 for 12 in the game, 1 of 7 from three. But I think what he did is Willis was great in that dribble penetration, and he and Tariq both did a great job, locked down. It didn't matter who you threw in there. It could have been the freshman Justin Mitchell, that you threw in there as well. Really limited his really good looks, I think, in the paint.
That's why you got to leave. We started going offense, defense with Zach, and then with Dylan Smith. And Dylan, we have a stat. We keep a stat driven on defense, who gets driven. And the one thing I told him in the halftime, we do this thing called bricks and saves. And I said, when we go back in, we're going to do bricks and save off of the film. Don't get driven. And he did an unbelievable job. Yeah. That's what we told him. And then I stopped doing offensive defense. I said, I'm riding you out. You got to take me home. And he done that. And that's why I love that kid, man. He's been with me. He was with me at Montlow State for 2 years. For a year. And he come here, and he's very good defensively. He talks. Him and Tariq done a really good job of communicating and stopping the penetration.
And then you've got Trent Gibson, what makes him so different from any basketball player I think that we see. Right now the game is finish at the rim or hit three-pointers, and he can hit that 15-footer. And I think with the team – we were in trouble in the first half, and then all of a sudden he starts hitting that 10 to 15-footer. That's what separates him. That's what makes him so different.
Yeah, it does. It helps. One thing about he doesn't get sped up. That's the thing. He doesn't get sped up. If you go back, if you remember watching the game, that kid right there is always the same. And he's just like him and Brendan. Yeah. I mean, seriously, he don't get sped up. Then Brendan may make some unforced turnovers, but those guys just take their time, and they're he's got a very, very high basketball IQ. It's late in the second half. He made a turnover here, but he got back and stopped the drive. You know what I mean? So with Trent Gibson, I wasn't taking him out. And I told him, I said, you're not coming out. So the kid did a really good job of not forcing shots because he didn't. Air Force stretch, he didn't get a lot of shots.
Right.
And then we was missing shots. But he took his time. And at one time I remember making a little spin move, hitting that little nice little jump shot, putting us up by 2.
Then Dylan Smith, a guy that I'm sure you see it in practice every day, but I'm sure that wasn't necessarily the play you drew up. But Trenton just said, I saw him open. Well, Trent did you realize he was 35 feet from the rim. I just saw him open.
Yes.
But that guy has no fear, and that was a courageous take.
The one thing about it is the ball, they did a really good job, is swinging the ball from one side to another and then getting an offensive rebound. And then we had told, we call him Smitty, Dylan Smith, that once you catch the ball, I remember I heard Zach was telling him, Zach Hope, my assistant, you catch it, let it go. And I told him, I said, I don't care if you miss 20 of them. You open, you shoot it. And he was 0 for 11 to the last shot. He was 1 for 12 and ended up winning the game.
All right, so a big start for this Pioneer team against some Peach Belt Conference team. And it's not over. We got another big day against UNC Pembroke coming up this weekend, and a huge weekend going on at Queens. Lee's McRae, it's a team that took us last year as well in the Conference Carolina. So another big weekend ahead of this Pioneer team.
It's huge, man. I mean, but, these guys, as I told you before, it's one of the best teams as far as I've ever coached. And, I've had some really good teams. Don't get me wrong. I love all my players. But as far as a whole team, these guys engaged because we're young as far as coming off the bench. And these guys stay engaged. They stay with it. And the biggest thing, what about this crowd, though?
Oh, it's awesome.
I don't say much about it. It's unbelievable, man, how a crowd can help you win a game.
Yeah.
And thanks to all I know I went off. He killed
me. No, you're
good.
Thanks
to the crowd, man, because those guys helped us and willed us to this win. And Dylan Smith canned that 3.
For everybody watching that was in the crowd tonight, pizza on him, maybe?
Wow.
I
ain't got it.
That'd blow the budget.
No,
we no more travel budget money, for him.
Bad thing. My wife would kill me.
Yeah, she would kill you. That'd be it. I'm joking, by the way. Don't ask him about it. He won't have it. Pioneers get a big win tonight here at home. Home opener in front of a great crowd. He's JT Burton. Pioneers win